buttered lobster. How ridiculous is that? The epitome of a hot buttered lobster roll. I think of this recipe as a totally wild, more indulgent, naughty version of a lobster roll. Now, I'm a Connecticut girl at heart, so I love my lobster rolls warm and buttered, so this is a take on just that. Instead of using a buttered roll, I'm going to be using puff pastry. So the shards of puff pastry that are so buttery just melt in your mouth. So not only do we have a buttery puff pastry, but I'm gonna be topping this tart with some leeks and a little bit of fresh chive. So simple, yet absolutely ridiculously good. So it all starts with puff pastry. I have some puff pastry that I bought in the grocery store. Usually you can get it in the frozen aisle. I have rectangles here that are thawed. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a bowl. You can use like a cereal bowl or whatever you want. And you're just gonna make guidelines of this round shape because we're gonna be making a galette, which is round. So I did the same thing on this tart. You can also just use rectangles if you want and not have it be in this round shape, but I'm doing something different today. So on top of your puff pastry, I'm going to add some leeks. Now, if you haven't seen leeks before, usually it has this dark green head and little roots on this white end. You're gonna cut off the roots, cut off the dark green part, which is really tough, and you're going to cut your leek in half. Ooh, isn't it so beautiful? And then you're going to just make little slivers of leeks, just like that. It's this beautiful pop of green, but it also adds just this brightness and a little like fresh onion taste that is so perfect and complementary with buttery lobster. So before we put these in the tart, we just want to sweat them with a little bit of butter, which is just going to add to the butteriness of this tart. So I have here a little pot with just about a tablespoon of salted butter. And I'm gonna go ahead and add my leeks right to this pan. I'm gonna sweat my leeks for just like 2 minutes or so, just so they're coated with melted butter. That's what I'm talking about. Just until they're sweated. Now I'm gonna add the leeks to this round part of my tart here, leaving a border that will be a nice crust. So now I'm just going to take my hands and I'm gonna fold the little crust over on my tart just like this. So that way in the oven, the corners will puff up and it'll be this beautiful little round shape. So it's time to take these off to the oven. We're going to be adding our lobster when these get out of the oven because we don't want to overcook the lobster. These are going to go in the oven at 375 for about 20 to 25 minutes until the puff pastry gets nice and golden brown and puffy. If this doesn't make you hungry for lobster rolls, I don't know what does. Look at that beautiful lobster meat. I got this lobster meat pre-cooked at my local seafood market. You can also usually get it at your grocery store, or you can boil your own lobsters and make your own meat. I have some melted butter, melted salted butter in a pan here, all nice and melted. And all I'm gonna do here is just warm the lobster up until it's just warm, all coated in that butter. And then I'm gonna put it right on my tart. The final touch is I'm just gonna add some fresh chives right to my lobster meat, right before I'm gonna place it on my tart, just like that. Keep them nice and fresh and green. And then you're just gonna take your spoon. I like the extra butter. and add the lobster meat right to your tart. And to add just a final touch, just to brighten things up, I like to add just a touch of fresh lemon zest to the top, if it'll come off, just for some brightness. The big bite says it all. It's like the epitome of a hot, buttered lobster roll. Absolutely fantastic. Check this out on tastefullygrace.com. You won't regret it. Pew, 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 pew. Lobster roll time. Imagine if I had pinchers like this. Would you be scared of me?